The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Well, in most schools, it is graduation season, and it's time for seniors to move up towards college. And coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we'll introduce you to one group and one initiative that is aimed at making a difference in the lives of students. That's up next on Perspectives with yours truly, Darren Ivey.
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables to speak on your decisions, cause in the long run it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light, cause it might make a difference in someone else's life. What's your perspective?
Hello, everyone. I'm Darren Jaime, and welcome to this edition of Perspectives. As always, we want you to be connected to us, and we invite you to stay connected to us. How, Darren? Well, you can check us out on Facebook at BronxNet Perspectives. Hit us up on Twitter, and there you'll be able to find out about our show. You get to hear about some past episodes. I should say, see some past episodes. Then you also have the opportunity to share your comments. Let us know what you'd like to see, what you liked, what you didn't like, what the hosts say that you disagree with. Yeah, put it all on there, and we'll, of course, get back to you because it's about sharing perspectives here. Coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we go front and center on the issue of education. Try high school education, moving into college. It can be a dramatic shift for a lot of young people, and there's one organization right here in the Bronx that helps people make that transition. I'm pleased to be joined by Mr. John Pierre LaCour, who is the coordinator for the Center for Achieving Future Education, better known as the CAFE at BronxWorks, and he's here with us today. And John Pierre, good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Oh man, glad to have you. So I want to talk to you about a couple of things because, as we said, tis the season for graduation, but for high school seniors and even for juniors, a bit of nervousness because it's a transition in their life, getting ready to go to college.
Correct. It is. And when we look at transitions, when we work with young people in high school, the fundamental reality is where they're going to go in their lives. Where are they going down the next road? One of the things that we talk to young people about every day is to not worry about what you're going to do in life. Don't worry about it. You'll get there and you'll find your place in the world. The thing what we want to do is make sure that there's preparation. We want to make sure that there's skill sets that students have when they go off to college. Understand how to network and how to build relationships on campuses, how to communicate with professors, and how to have relationships that are going to help flourish in their education. So our jobs are to kind of educate students in the one-to-one time that we have with young people who come into our offices, to have a good relationship with them and broaden the conversation. Usually try to stay away from the whole topic of the careers and stuff, more or less trying to help them grow as an individual so they can take on that information when they get to college.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about that individual, because in order to be that college student, you have to first be that individual because there's a new level of discipline.
Correct.
You're required to, if you go to school, you go to school. If you don't, you don't. So give us a little bit about how you're working with them on that individual level.
One of the things that we try to do is try to extract and draw from their individuality. And then you said individual. We want to make sure the students understand themselves. I think one of the things that we find in a lot of our young people here in the city is that they chase that same attitude of running it so fast that they don't get a chance to take it all in. And what we want to do is make sure that we spend the quality time having relationships with these students so that when they go off to college, they understand their place at that institution or where they are at. It's always an ongoing relationship. We maintain that ongoing relationship. Now, what we have in the school systems and programs such as BronxWorks is that retention is a big issue now. Retention in colleges. How are students going to school and staying in school? What are the factors that they're dealing with when they're there? Well, we try to tackle that issue head on. We've been dealing with retention for probably over the last 8 to 9 years. So now this topic of retention is a big issue, but we've been dealing with that since we started our college program, and addressing the students and reaching out to them through social media or whatever way we can communicate with them on a regular basis. We are there to build that individual, and we want to make sure that they're better citizens out there for themselves when they get out there.
So the cafe is the Center for Achieving Future Education, and so give us a little bit about your work and what you do.
Well, the program really is reaching out into the community. It really is a testament of the time dedicated to the young people we deal with in the community, as well as the high schools that we try to partner and build relationships with. The school systems really are tackling a big juggernaut of issues of trying to get students to college. And I think the nonprofit sector is a very strong area that we can do a lot of that individual service that sometimes the schools can't, because they're so inundated with so many young people going to school and having to address so many other the academic needs. Our job is to really deal with the counseling part of it. And CAFE, the Bronx Works Cafe program, we are allowed to go out there and knock on doors and say, look, we're going to provide our services to you so that we can build relationships with your students and we can have a shared experience with these young people.
And when you have these shared experience, I mean, obviously young people get a lot and glean a lot from just having an adult mentor and having somebody to talk to. What are some of the greatest things that we're hearing from our young people when you're talking about this transition and preparing? What are we hearing?
To be honest with you, I think what I like about working with these young people and the staff that I work with and the people that have worked with these young people is that it's almost like a light bulb story. When the light bulb goes off, you realize that they figured it out. And the context that I have with young people is talking about looking at life, through a television screen. Do you want to look at it through a 13-inch, or do you want to look at it as a huge plasma? And I think once we build that personal relationship with people and we continue, like a parent, you have to be a broken record sometimes to kind of really push what you're trying to educate them on so they learn a lot of it, a lot more information. It may not click at the initial point, but if you keep on reiterating what is really essential out there, they get it and they start to see where their place is in a larger screen. They start to understand the lens becomes a little larger for them.
And that lens definitely becomes larger to the place that they realize that, hey, there's a whole lot more out there.
Yes.
For me to live.
Yeah, and also in the college aspect, a lot of our young people are limiting themselves to the kind of institutions they apply to, where they apply to go to school, where they want to go, because they don't understand what's out there. A lot of the higher education institutions want our students, and they want a diversity of young people at their institutions. I think a lot of times the message is lost because students don't realize what's available to them based on their efforts and the work they do in high school or connecting into the community. So we try to build and broaden that through our college access program.
You talked about when students go and apply for college.
Yes.
Sometimes they do limit themselves because they don't think. What are some of the things out there for a student that they may not even know in terms of, if I apply, I think that I'm going to keep it local.
Yeah.
But the reality is you might be able to get that scholarship at a four-year university.
That's true. I think what we realize now, even the higher institutions have been talking about this for a while, is that based on the demographic of students that are here in the Bronx, we realize a lot of those schools are not getting our students, and students are not applying. And those institutions are saying, look, we have a lot of services on campus that reach out to this particular community and say, we want your students. And Bronx Works has had success with a lot of our students to go to these big schools. Scholarships, for example, we have gotten away from a little bit of the discussion of the college application process, more or less because we know that we can get you through that process, but we need to essentially get you aware of the scholarships out there. Most of the young people coming from one of the poorest congressional districts here in the Bronx is that they can't afford some of these schools, or they think they can't afford it. So what we try to do is we try to promote scholarship development for our younger youth. When they start as 10th graders or 11th graders, start looking for scholarships now. Don't wait till your senior year. We want to make sure that we're essentially doing the things that are essentially going to get you to be able to stay at that institution financially for you and your family. So I think that's a discussion that we as educators should be having more than just applying to college. I mean, there's always going to be a college for a student. The matters are, is it the right fit for them? Are they at the right place they need to be? And we believe that you go, you grow. We want students to go away. We want young people to expand. And for me, as a counselor, I want students to have an adventure when they go out there and to grow as individuals. And to do that, you need to go away to college.
We want to tell people going away to college is not a bad thing after all. Stay with us because we're going to continue our discussion with John Pierre. And as we continue our discussion, we'll talk more a little bit about the CAFE program as well as young people taking that initiative to take the next step. What are some of the things that you need to do to take that next step? We'll find out in this next segment right after this.
Jimmy can't sing,
And Tommy can't dance.
so we're gonna put some ants in their pants. Aww!
Kids will spend 22 minutes watching us, the super duper party troopers, sing about ants in their pants.
Isn't that funny? Ants in their pants, they've got ants in their pants, they've got ants in their pants.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Mom, can we get some ice cream? Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. That ember can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where that ember will land. Only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how you can help protect your community from wildfires.
Being a dad can be tough.
No. What do you mean she's not coming?
When's the fairy princess coming?
Any minute now.
But when you're willing to do anything,
It is I, Cruz Zinkerbell. Okay, time for cake.
it's always worth it.
I know it's really you, Drew. I'm just pretending for the other kids.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Back here continuing our conversation, talking a little bit about young people and making that transition to college. And John Pierre from Bronx Works is here with us talking about the CAFE program, but not only the CAFE program, but a call to action. And for people who don't know about a call to action, a major initiative. And you guys have a unique, statistic, if you will. When it comes to kids going to college, you're very successful.
Yeah, with less than 5% of most graduating seniors attending college within their first year, which is
Less than 5, you said.
about 5%, yeah, less than 5 after their graduation. And that can depend on a lot of factors. It's really essential that we put a lot of effort into getting students into college. Now, Bronx Works CAFE program, having worked with a number of students every year, we work with about 125 seniors every year. We have about a 95% success rate in students attending school in their first year. And that could mean community college or to four-year institutions. So we really put a lot of effort into making sure the students are at school. We look at a lot of the dynamics of their personal lives, but we want them to be in school. We realize that the discussion of giving them an opportunity to have an education that's going to help expand their opportunities financially and personally in their lives has to start with college. So that statistic is very important to us.
So when you have this call to action, you're putting the call out there not just for young people, but you're also putting out the call for the community.
Correct. CAFE does not discriminate on any age of any people who come through our doors who ask for college assistance. So for us, the call to action is to help support people going off college to college. Yes, we work with a big demographic that's high school age. But for us, the call to action is really to say to the community, reach into your pocketbooks, reach into your checkbooks and say, hey, we want to support young people in our community to go off to college. And Bronx Works, which has recently put a call to action out there into the community, is to support our programs and the programs like ours to give young people the opportunity to college. But here at Bronx Works, we want the community to support what we do. And they can do their investigative work and contact Bronx Works and go on our website and connect to the link on Call to Action. And they can actually make any kind of donation to the Call to Action to College programs and Cafe. Our job is to get as much opportunities for our young people coming through our doors to go out to college as possible.
And getting them to go out the doors is a major hurdle. What are some of the hurdles that are preventing young people from making that making that decision?
There are a multitude of issues for a lot of people, from financial situations at home to supporting their families to some having children to a lot of issues that are happening in this particular community regularly. And a lot of those factors are individually, we have a lot of students who don't understand how to expand beyond their local community. So a lot of the issues are financial for a lot of people, which we understand with our economy, but a lot of the reasons are students want to here and now. They don't realize what tomorrow is going to bring. So those are factors. But again, there are a lot of conditionalities for a lot of our young people. And also there's a lot of fear aspects of college for some people because they were not given these tools earlier on. And so by the time they are seniors or ready to go off to college, you know, the next step is fearful for them and they're scared. And so we want to make sure that we bridge a good relationship of communication to them so that they can dispel a lot of their myth that school is not for them. And that's a big issue for a lot of us.
School isn't for me. I don't feel like school is for me. Why should school be for me? That fear factor. What do you give to people to help them with that fear factor?
Well, Bronx Works has provided a lot of services for young people. In the Children and Youth Program, we've been able to expand all opportunities from any student coming through our door. If that's a student who's from a transfer high school or a GED program or just a drop-in. We provide all kinds of linkage opportunities for young people. We have the OST programs, OSY programs. We have programs for students who want to come in and get some services. And then through that experience, customer service training. We do a lot of these things through Bronx Works and the college and academic programming, so that when students have a lot of these issues, we're there to kind of start to dispel a lot of their issues that they come in with, so that we can then get them to the next point of discussion about college.
College is one of those places that people will learn a lot. It's transitional because it also prepares people for that next, where I want to go in life, my career, the fabric of my being a lot of times really is centered on the college experience. When you talk about getting public support for programs such as yours, you got to have that in order to help the students along. How's it been trying to drum up support for kids trying to go to college?
Well, it's a lot of stuff that's out there for young people. There's a lot of confusing things that are out there for young people too, is from organizations and programs that are in the community. We also have this whole college issue where students look at advertisements for fast tracking their careers and all these things, and then we're combative with those situations. So the challenge for the community who wants to support, and it doesn't mean just the Bronx, but the external community that wants to support programs, they see all these issues about college success programs and all these things that are out there, and sometimes they don't realize that navigating those things and saying let's get away from this is to find the real programs essentially that are at the grassroots and that are at the, have their bootstraps to the ground, working with young people in this community. Those are the organizations. So it's a challenge sometimes getting people to understand the essential need that programs like Cafe need to get support, because we are at the last hurdle of most academic opportunities for young people. The Cafe program is the last stopgap to get into college or career opportunities in life. And if we're not getting support, then we find this is a situation of a disconnected youth in our community. So we want to get away from that situation.
And I was startled by the fact that statistics that you gave earlier, talking about 5% of kids, who really don't make that transition from, or there are about 5% that make the transition from high school to college without taking that break. That's an alarming number.
Well, you look at the retention numbers in colleges, local colleges, and if you kind of shy away from the four-year institutions, it's very low. We have a lot of retention issues in colleges. Students go off, they can't succeed the first year, and then they drop out for whatever reasons. And then those numbers affect the statistical numbers. But we also look at the high school opportunities for young people. Again, this is a real academic issue for a lot of people, and so these numbers are out there.
History Makers program. You've got a History Makers program that works in partnership with Fordham University. So for someone who doesn't know, give us a little bit.
Well, Fordham University has been our community partner for over 9 years. They have supported us initially with the development of the History Makers through the Teagle Foundation. And the Teagle Foundation created a linkage of opportunities academically to develop research opportunities for young people to go to college and learn programs during the summer. The History Makers program is a summer program, 5-week intensive program that works with the African American History Department to talk about the research and knowledge of the history of the Bronx. So young people get to understand the impact of the community and people who live in the community. That started 9 years ago, and we are in our 9th cycle this year. Going into the program. And this program has also helped to broaden our college access piece. We've been able to expand the kind of activities, the workshops and programs for young people throughout the school year because of the linkage that we have through History Makers. This 5-week program has bridged into a college access piece semester after semester at Fordham.
And so we tell people, if you want to be a part of Bronx Works and the Cafe program or other things, you can have an opportunity to do that. Who are your programs, who are they open to?
They're open to the whole community. We are a drop-in program, so it's not a pay-for-service program. Students can come in, families can come in, they can inquire about our programs, they can find out what's happening. We do SAT prep programs. We have a lot of things academically that support students in high school. All they have to do is contact us at Bronx Works. They can go on our website, go to Children and Youth, link into Children and Youth, and find out all the programs that we serve for young people in the community.
So make sure that you go and check out Bronx Works. There's a lot of great things that are happening. They're doing some wonderful things in our community, particularly with young people and the whole college dynamic. And what would you equate college to be for if there's a young person out there watching and you could just say to them, listen, this is how important college is?
Life altering, a lot of times the message gets lost because young people see adults talking to them about college and they think, okay, you've graduated, you don't understand what I'm going through. But college is a place for growth. And I think the one thing, that message we want to really iterate to young people is who they become as individuals when they go to college. I think the networking that you have when you go to college, the people you meet from different backgrounds and people who have different thoughts and perspectives, there's no two people are the same. So college offers that, depending on where you go. I think if you really network into college, you'll realize who you are as an individual. I think that growth opportunity really changes a lot of people when they go to college.
Somebody might be out there watching right now saying, listen, John Pierre, I really got a problem with my finances. Finances are going to be a problem. I think about college. I hear these things on TV about college debt, this and that. So I'm not even going to do it. I don't want to get myself in debt. What do you say?
Come in and have a conversation and a discussion about the opportunities that are out there for you. And let's sit down and talk about it. We don't just sit down and talk about college. We do sit down and talk about job opportunities and internship opportunities and things so you can get an exposure to these experiences so that you have a broad knowledge of what's out there. So we don't just kind of limit it to one thing. And we want to make sure that students have a real discussion. If they have these myths or they have these issues with college or whatever reasons, we want to sit down and have a conversation on what their needs are. Once we understand their needs, then we can sit down and talk about how college can fit into their perspective. And it's a dialogue. And dialogue means not coming in within 5 minutes and having a conversation. It's an ongoing relationship.
Talk about this dynamic, because for some kids thinking about going to college, young people thinking about going to college, it doesn't become an option because I don't see it reflected in my house because my parents never went, nobody else ever graduated. And that's a big obstacle too, that when you look at, my family dynamic, everybody stopped here and they seem to be pretty successful. Mm-hmm. I might stop here.
The numbers don't lie. Financial numbers don't lie. The average young person who graduates with college versus a student who doesn't graduate college is almost 3 to 1 in your income over a lifetime. And those numbers don't lie. So we really want to make sure and reiterate to young people, look, that may be true. You can go out and find a job. You may be able to find a union job, or you may find opportunities for you. But we also want to expand your opportunities. Why not? You can always fall into an opportunity to get a job. But college, if you wait too long, and it's never too late, those opportunities, the window seems to close a little bit. So we want to make sure that young people have a broad understanding. If they come in and talk about, look, my mom or my dad makes this particular income. And I said, well, don't you want to make double of what they're making? So always the conversation is to kind of show them where they can go. Instead of just working a position, which is great, how about being a person who's a supervisor? How about being a person who's an engineer? If you work a job, maybe you can become a person who's managing that particular job. It's the same discussion we talk about basketball all the time. Do you want to be Michael Jordan or do you want to own Michael Jordan? So it's a different situation. That's the reality that we want to have conversations with people to see a bigger picture. It's great if you want to be that, but we also want to say, look, don't you want to be a business person who controls your destiny? I think that happens with education.
That does. It happens with education. Come back and have more final comments, and we'll return right after this.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush your teeth. Every day and every night. Brush, brushy, brush, 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 brush. Now it's your parents' turn. Here's what you gotta do. You can have your toothbrush so that they can brushy brush your teeth. Tooth you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Help your teeth stay healthy. Brushy brush with a grown-up every day.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all working with United Way for a million little reasons. The kids of our communities, to ensure their academic success all the way to graduation day. You see, it takes about 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a kid becoming one or the other could be a professional athlete, or it could be you. Studies showed the earlier we get to kids, the better their chances. So become a United Way volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, and make a difference in the life of a child, for the life of that child.
Give.
Advocate.
Volunteer. Live United. Join your favorite NFL players. Take the pledge. Go to unitedway.org.
Welcome back. Get some final comments and final thoughts. So before we leave, Jean-Pierre, people who want more information, let's give them that and tell them who exactly is eligible to be a part of these programs.
Well, they can always contact BronxWorks, www.bronxworks.org, and get information about what we provide. But all students that come from middle school to high school, GED transfer students, students who have been removed from school for a few years, they can come in and get services from us, and we will assist them if they really want to have college opportunities.
I want you to do that. Make sure you take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. And certainly when you talk about education, that's the pathway to the future. As we know, the economy is shifting, and it's it's mandatory. The people have college degrees these days. And so don't allow a few barriers to prevent you from getting that degree. And organizations such as Jean-Pierre at BronxWorks and BronxWorks with the Cafe program and stuff are doing some great work. And so thank you. You know, you're always, you can always come by and stop by.
I appreciate you guys having me.
No, appreciate you. And Jean-Pierre Lacour, who's our guest here, and we want to thank him for joining us. And we also want to thank you. So you heard that little final perspective from me. We encourage you to stay tuned to the show every week here on BronxNet Channel 67. You can catch us at 8:30 on Tuesdays and all throughout the course of the week. For all of us here on the Center of Perspectives, I'm Darren Jaime saying thanks for watching. Until the next time we meet, stay safe, share your perspective with somebody else. It just might make a difference in somebody else's life.
Table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables to speak on your decisions, cause in the long run it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective which shines a light, cause it might make a difference in someone else's life. What's your perspective?
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. That ember can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where that ember will land. Only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how you can help protect your community from wildfires.
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these two. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a little bit more.
Maybe he's really focused.
Maybe he likes spinning the wheels.
Maybe